Good morning. Welcome to At the Open Gate. And today we're going to be talking about curious listening, your best coaching skill. This is a summary of my earlier call today with my guest, Nancy Neerath. And we were talking about this very important subject. And really, again, why we like to do these calls and offer this information as a chance for you as leaders to just exhale, take a few minutes to breathe, and fill yourself up with a little bit of information and wisdom that we hope you can take away and share with your team and use to just make your life easier and things go smoother. And I've found over the years that listening is just one of those key skills that we all can continue to work on and needs just constant effort and focus. And so I give you a few minutes to think about this today. And also, I just want to encourage you that as leaders, so often it just feels like we are pulled in so many different directions. We may not feel like we have a lot of control or impact on the environment around us. Sometimes it can feel really disheartening that way. And I want to just take this opportunity to remind you that your influence so often reaches way beyond what you may see or realize. You touch people in innumerable ways, and people may not give you the feedback, but if you're leading positively, proactively, being a good influence on people, that people are paying attention. Your team, the people that you lead do pay attention, and that you may have influence far beyond what you realize or recognize. So take heart with that, especially in these tumultuous times when it just feels like a lot of things are spinning out of control. But you can control the world that you're given, and stay encouraged on that. So the three takeaways that I'd like to leave you with today for listening, and again, thinking about it in the respect of your role and your work as a leader and a coach to the people that you serve. Three of those takeaways: number one being leveraging that power of patience. Number two being using questions as your strength and thinking about them as a strength and not a weakness and an ally in this process. And last, the subtle skill of summarizing and how you can also use that as a way to transform, impact, and influence people far beyond what you may realize. So let's think about patience first of all. And it's always good to start with a simple definition, make sure we're all aligned and on the same page. And again, this is something that I think we tend to overlook. But again, something you can use as a leader in terms of just making sure we're all aligned and what the meaning of things are. And so patience, I loved this definition of it: the ability to keep calm during a time of stress and the ability to wait without becoming annoyed or anxious. It doesn't really get reinforced much in our world, right? Why is that? I mean, it seems like things spin faster and faster. We're rewarded on deciding quickly, moving on, accomplishing goals. And it just seems like the time it takes to be patient isn't much reinforced. And so, what are some of the ways, or why is it to your benefit to practice this as a skill when it doesn't seem like it gets reinforced much? But if you take the time to understand someone fully, number one, you're reducing those mistakes, misjudgments, misunderstandings that tend to happen. And so it saves you a lot of time in the end. It may take a little more time up front and feel uncomfortable even, because again, we're not rewarded with that. But if you take that time, it's going to save you time with reduced problems and challenges over the long haul. And the other reason why I think it's really important as people to practice the power of patience is that people are desperate to be heard in this world. And they're crying out to be heard. And I mean, we see it, quite frankly, in the news around us. And I see it in just interactions. People are just crying to be heard and understood. And so you, by taking that time, being patient, taking the time to truly understand someone, you may actually save a life and or change a life. And also, once someone feels heard, especially a team member, they tend to be more open then to your input, your feedback, more open to collaborating. And so it just makes for an easier life all around. But that's again, something we want to make sure that we're just paying attention to. So what about impatience, right? That's the thing that we have to try to tame. And what do we do about it? So what sets off that impatient response? And that is, some things you might think about. One of my favorite words is curiosity. Sometimes the best managers, the best in any field, if you have a sense of curiosity, if you cultivate that you can get amazing results. And so you might think about asking yourself, what does set off my impatient response? Is it that I don't like being, or I'm feeling disrespected, I'm feeling ignored, I'm feeling belittled by that? Maybe just check kind of what is the gut level reaction, and that's causing you to feel impatient when maybe someone is taking too much time. And then again, increasing that curiosity, thinking of people like a puzzle, and some questions that you can ask yourself, or maybe just what can I learn more about this person's thoughts or their motivations or their history? And how can I apply that information to help this person or to help the situation or to help my understanding of it? None of us can truly understand what a person's motivations or thoughts are. But if you have a healthy sense of curiosity, then that will spur you to the second piece of our puzzle today, which is asking those questions. Wasn't that a nice segue? So questions being your strength and your ally. And again, thinking about your job as a coach. So often it's easy to think about the role of a coach as being the person who's there to impart knowledge, impart wisdom. But when you really think about it, our job as coaches is to draw out the wisdom of the other person. And so it means a conscious laying down of our own ego and our own need maybe to be the expert. And I think oftentimes we just, it's kind of just how we frame our role as a leader. And again, it's that curiosity that's missing. We've had too many distractions. And so what do you do about it, right? So simply by starting to asking questions and not being anxious about getting it just right. If you have the wrong question, or if you ask something that maybe not the way you want it to, the person will let you know. Or if it's something that they can't answer, they'll let you know. But the good coaches really do focus on helping other people generate ideas. And I think also, if you're stuck, questions buy you time, right? And give you more information to be able to better process, understand a situation, and be effective. One of the best books I've read that speaks to this is called Just Listen by Mark Goulston, Goulston. And he's got some great tips on listening as a skill that are practical, that I think you can put into place very quickly. So great book. I highly recommend it. And also in my conversation with Nancy earlier today, she focused on that questioning skill being an example of leadership maturity. And again, speaking to what we were just talking about, that we sometimes feel like we have to be the expert. And if you can lay that down and recognize that nobody is an expert and we all have things to learn, and that questions are actually that sign of maturity as a leader, that might make it a little easier to go that route. And then lastly, their third point today is that subtle skill of summarizing. And this is not a natural thing that most people do in a conversation. So if I'm listening to someone and I'm tracking on what he or she is saying, towards the end of that conversation, I might want to say something like, so let me make sure I understand. And then I articulate the points that that person was making. Or let me rephrase that so I make sure that we're both on the same page, or sum that up. Those are nice entries into a summary of the conversation. And you've done a couple things. Number one, it forces you to track on that conversation more so than you would if you weren't planning to summarize. Number two, it is this incredible gift to the person that you're speaking to. And they actually, I've seen it happen where a person's eyes just can almost mist up because they feel like, wow, this person really, really tracked on what I was saying, and really, I feel heard. So it's an amazing tool to add to your toolbox. It's one, again, that's not natural, it's not comfortable. So it takes practice, focus, and effort. And my encouragement to you would be to just make it a goal for 30 days and say to yourself, okay, I'm going to try to incorporate this into more conversations over the next 30 days. And I'm going to keep a log of what I'm doing and at least pinpoint what worked, what didn't, how I felt about it, how the other person reacted, and see what themes you can see. And there's also something about that, just that writing down or typing, where you're, again, solidifying this process in your memory and building a habit that then will become more unconscious to you, and you don't have to think about so much in the future, but you'll just start doing it naturally. It's an amazing tool, and I hope that you will consider incorporating that in your toolbox. So all those three things, practicing patience, skillful questioning, and the skill of summarizing, are those things that really start helping to build trust, because the people on your team will feel heard, and you'll build a stronger team because you're getting more input from, and honest and authentic input from your team that's going to serve you well, reduce your stress, and make things better for everyone in the long run. So I hope you take some of these things to heart. And if you found this useful, I hope you join us again next month on July 22nd. And we will be talking with Todd Allen of Structured Spaces, focused on simplifying and freeing your mind and energizing your leadership. So I'm looking forward to that one very much. I always enjoy Todd's insights on things. Again, that will be July 22nd from 9 to 9:30 Pacific time. You can register using this link, or you can go to opengateresources.com to our event calendar and log in there. So opengateresources.com. So I wish you a wonderful day, much peace and happiness, and hope that things go well. Thank you for joining us. Take care.